Well, hello, readers. I am so excited to be here with you today. And I have a new friend, Michele Olson. So, Michele, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Tricia, for having me. I've been so excited about this.
I think you have the funnest books. But before we get to that, we're going to get to that in a second. Before we get to your books, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I live in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and all my novels are set on Mackinac Island. So many people think that I live on Mackinac Island or I live in Michigan, but that is 5 hours away for us. But we've been there, oh, we're going out for over 30 years. So I know
Oh,
the island.
wow.
I know the island really well. So I've been married for, it'll be 44 years this year, I believe, 44, 45. Who's counting?
Yeah.
And my husband, Ray, and that's who we started Lake Girl Publishing. That's our company, Lake Girl Publishing, together. And I'm a mom and I'm a Gigi, which
Yeah.
is grandma in our
Yeah.
neck of the woods. And so I have a son, Benjamin, and a daughter-in-law, Cassie, in Nashville, and my son's a singer-songwriter.
Oh,
And
wow.
then I have a daughter, Molly, and a son-in-law, Danny, and they live in Chicago. And my daughter's led an interesting life because she has skated professionally around the world.
Oh, wow.
And she also is a professional coach now in Chicago. And then I've got two grandkids. I've got Jace and Jet. Jet is the oldest, he's 8, and Jace is 5. And they're little hockey players. And of course, they're the lights of our life,
You
which
have
I love
like
them so
so
much.
much talent just oozing out of your family.
Well, we're artsy, musicy, love arts, basically, love the arts and expressing them creatively. And yeah, so I retired from normal life. I was an advertising media writer for 45 years, specializing in health.
Oh,
I do
wow.
voice work around the country, so I still do a lot of that. And I started being a DJ back in the days when we were spinning records. So that's in my history. So I was so happy to be in radio back in the day when we were spinning records and 45s onto albums. And it was a great fun field to be in. And then I just kind of went into production houses. And then when the internet came along, the whole world changed because you could do audio and video and everything. That changed everything. So I did retire about a year ago from corporate life, corporate writing and marketing advertising, and started Lake Girl Publishing. And so I'm retired
Yeah, you're retired and working a lot.
and working a lot. So writing the books, doing voice work, and doing a lot of artwork and teaching doodling and sketchnoting and all kinds of art fun things. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Oh, so I mean, so many things we could talk about. Reminds me of WKRP. Remember that old? We're talking about old
Oh my gosh,
shows.
yeah.
Yes.
And that's what back in the days of radio, I'm telling you that is what it was like. I worked in one station. We honestly didn't know where our paychecks were coming from. We would do trade out with restaurants and then we'd get free food instead of partial pay at times. I mean, it was
So,
WKRP in Cincinnati, but it was in Wisconsin.
oh, that is so cool. I mean, so many things we could talk about. So let's talk about your books first, and then we'll
Okay.
talk about all the other things. We'll make sure you get your books. So these are so fun. Okay, so we have. I'll go try to go one at a time. Being Ethel, and I love the subtitle. So it's Being Ethel in a World That Loves Lucy. So that is the first one. Okay, which and the second one is
Being
19
Dorothy.
Dorothy. Okay, yep. So Being Dorothy, and the subtitles in a world longing for home. You might be getting the idea of what these are based on. And then we have Being Alice.
Yes.
So, Being Alice in a World Lost in the Looking Glass. And then we have Being Wendy in a World Afraid to Grow Up.
Yes.
And so fun. So I'm just almost done with the first one. So I have not dug into the other ones, but they are light and fun and chatty and interesting because you have this character. So the main character is Piper, and
Yes.
she's in trouble. She's in a lot of trouble. And then there's this so I'm trying to figure out how much to give away, but she ends up getting an inheritance on Mackinac Island. But when she gets there, there's different stipulations, different things she has to follow. But the person who has given her this inheritance has set her up. I mean, I would like to find out. I had this
Oh yeah. Yeah.
inheritance, yeah. So has set her
Fancy.
up. Yes, but there. So she goes from this world of I don't know where I'm going to get the next dollar to living in very posh quarters with very exciting things going on. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about the story and like where you got the idea for this?
Well, originally, being Ethel in a world that loves Lucy speaks to the fact that the world loves Lucy, but we're really all Ethel.
Yeah.
And and we're kind of the sidekick. We'd like to be the main person, but we probably aren't. And so I was going to write a nonfiction, almost Bible study book, being Ethel in a world that loves
Mm,
Lucy, almost like Rachel and Leah in the
right,
Bible.
right.
And then I thought, well, what would it be like if it was fiction?
Hmm.
So then I took the fiction idea and I took the idea that I love Mackinac Island. I love the Grand Hotel. I love old Hollywood. I
Yes.
love old TV shows with nuns in them.
Yep.
And that all kind of mushed together. And I love the Lord.
Yeah.
So we're going to put all that together, throw it in a ball, throw it out, and see what sticks.
Yeah. Yeah.
With some comedy, with some, but true faith life lessons, like I like to call them, uh, tongue in cheek. And I had to set it in 1979 when they were filming the movie Somewhere in Time at the Grand Hotel. So
And
Piper
I
becomes an
love
extra.
that
Right.
movie.
It's a
Love.
great movie.
Yes.
Great movie. So she is an extra in the movie. So that kind of gets brought
Yeah.
in.
Yes.
And so a little bit of Christopher Reeve, a little bit of Jane Seymour, who it's Jane Seymour's birthday today. So
Yeah.
that's all thrown in, along with all that I know about the Grand Hotel. So there's some history of the Grand
Mhm.
Hotel, history of the island,
I
all
didn't
that type
know it
of
was
thing.
owned by, like, one family, basically. So much of
Until just a couple years ago,
yeah.
until like maybe 3 years ago, it was sold.
There's so many things, and I've heard about like, I've never been there. I wanna go. I would definitely wanna go now, but it
Yeah,
was so cool, like, you do hear about what's going on and different things because she's learning about it, and all these things are happening to her, so as a reader, it's not like a natural like, "Oh, here's a fact, here's a fact." You're just learning about things as she's learning about it, and she's experiencing life in this completely different place than where she was in San Francisco before, so
yes,
it's super fun, and it's so I think if you like lighter books, cozy mysteries, like those types of lighter personality, fun. There's a lot of TV trivia, which I am all about all the old TV shows. My grandma always has just the black and white channel or the old shows on, or we're watching Carol Burnett. So she lives with
yes,
me, she's
yes,
93. So
yes,
if you love that kind of stuff, you are just going to love the book. So I love that you were able to say, okay, I like this. I like this. Let's put a little about of this. And it really shows your personality. And I was listening to the audiobook, which you read, which was
yes.
so fun. So it's so funny because we got on here and it took me a minute, like, oh yeah, because I've been listening to your voice and then like, oh, she's right here. She's a real person.
Yeah, and here's the funny thing. So because I have done voice work, for like over 40 years, and
Mhm.
I'm like an actress in that I spend about a half hour every day auditioning for voice jobs around the country and some internationally.
Wow.
So that's just a part of what I do. So when it came to do my book, I thought that I would absolutely love narrating the book.
Yeah.
And I thought, maybe I'll just as a side job, I'll just narrate a bunch of books. I couldn't believe how much work it was.
Oh,
Incredible. And then keeping the voices straight, because I kind of played with the voices a little
yeah.
bit
Yeah.
and the characters. So keeping that straight. And of course, it's like 8 hours. You can't record it all at once.
Right.
So then you have to go back and go, well, wait a minute. What voice did I use for that? What voice did I use for this? And they have to match.
Yeah.
It can't be. So it was a labor of love, but I'm used to doing commercials and
Mhm.
announcements and things. They're short. They're 1 minute, 2 minute, 30 seconds. 8 hours is a long time. So because I do voice work and I'm so used to the other, I have a real hard time doing it. So I've had requests because people like audiobooks want the rest of them. I'll never say never, but I will say not right now.
No, right now you're like, that was so much work.
Too soon.
Yeah.
Even though a couple years ago now, it was I partially loved it and partially thought I was going to tear the hair out of my head.
Yeah.
Because it's so, but I was thrilled with how it turned out, but I thought it's really a lot of work. Have you done your own books?
No, I have not done my own books. Nope. I do
It's
a podcast, but I'm not going on script and I'm not changing voices. And yeah,
You have
so
to speak so slowly when you're reading a book
mhm.
compared to even how you read it. It just takes an incredible amount of time. So hats off to all the people who do all the narrating. I liked parts of it. I may do it again. I'd like to do children's books because I do some cartoon voices and things like that. That's probably more my
Right.
tolerance.
Yeah. Well, it was so fun. Like
Probably.
even the guys, like I mean, there it reminds me of because you have all the like it's 1979, so it's like the slang and the logo and how people talk. You remind me because I read aloud to my kids, so like Henry Huggins and those types of like, hey, I don't know, some of the slangy things that they would say just reminds me of just those old. My favorite books are like 1970 and before. Just those old Ramona and Henry Higgins and those,
Yeah.
I mean, Encyclopedia Brown and any of all those. So a lot of the language. So I was born in 71. So a lot of the language just was reminiscent to me of those years and the fun and the lightness and the I don't know. It was super fun to just get caught
Well,
up in that world.
and our villain, so to speak,
Yeah.
our town chairwoman, speaks in the transatlantic, like the 1930s and 1940 movies, which
Mhm.
always fascinated me. So I did the research on to find out about that era of movies. And then she always speaks like that, which
Yeah.
is fun, actually. And she continues through all the books too. So yeah, I loved, and I did not grow up Catholic, but I absolutely adored nuns in movies.
Yeah.
In movies and TV, from The Flying Nun to the Haley Mills movies with The
Yeah.
Trouble with Angel and all those. So I had to put all those in.
Yep.
And then, of course, Sister Mary Margaret is a much, much loved character. I get so much feedback from
I
her.
love that.
Yeah, she is popular, and so she isn't in the second book, so I heard about it
So you had to
from
bring
readers.
her.
Bring
Okay.
her back. Bring her
Okay.
back. We love Sister Mary Margaret. So yeah, so that was a lot of fun to have the 50s TV, and then why she develops this deep, deep friendship with this nun, because
Mhm.
she grows up with a father who turns out to be a televangelist and is just a big hypocrite and
I was
really
kinda shocked when
wrecks
that
her.
first came in through her mother's journals and stuff. I was like, "What? Wait." And so there's so many layers to like at first I'm like, "Okay, it's gonna be this really light and blah," and then I'm like, "Oh, oh wait." And then like, what's going on here?" So I love that there's these layers of what's happening in the plot. It's not just like I don't know. It is light and fun. There is definitely the lightness and funness, but there's deeper layers in your books too, which makes it I don't know, it's so cool.
And her mother, who I don't want to give away too much, but her mother has passed, but her mother survives by writing to movie
Mhm,
stars
mhm. Yeah,
in her
and
diary.
I thought that was so interesting.
That
Yeah,
was fun too.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
fun to write, and I do love old Hollywood.
yeah.
Just love it. So
Really, you made all the hard work for yourself doing the audiobook by adding in all these different elements.
I did. And the reason I said it in 1979 was because somewhere in time, but also because there is a mystery in every book that I hope is a little bit hard to solve. I can't solve crimes if you have a cell phone.
Mhm, mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I can't if you have a cell phone, what crime can't you solve? Come on.
Right, you just Google everything and yeah,
You don't
yeah.
got to go to a phone booth and put the dime in, or
Oh, that
it's
was
like,
so
so
cute when you said you always carry a dime in your shoe. I mean,
yes,
just
yes.
all the things, I was just driving with my mom across California and Oregon and Nevada and, Oklahoma, and we saw a phone booth at a rest stop, and I'm like, "I
Oh,
didn't even know there was places that still had phone booths." But it's so funny when we see that kind of stuff, like telling my kids, like, "No, you'd have to have a dime with you when you went to town so you could call your mom to tell you when to pick you up." We didn't have cell phones, and my kids just look at me like, like, "What is going on?"
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's fun to go back to those times, and I mean, I was in high school in the early 70s, so it's all real to me. I mean, I lived it.
Yeah, yeah,
I was there, it's kind
yeah,
of thing. So yeah, so it's fun to incorporate all of that into the story, and then of course she has a lot of problems. She has a lot of issues, and so I got a little romance, I got a
yep.
little mystery, I got a little intrigue, I got a little entertainment.
And you
I
just
wanted to write a
layer
book
those
that
in
I
there.
liked.
Yeah, I love it, and I love it. Okay,
Basically.
so we start with being Ethel. So did you know when you started that this was going to continue on with the series, or were you just like, I'm just going to write this one book and then see what happens, or did you already have it kind of planned out the whole series?
What's this word plan you speak of?
Oh, okay. I guess you're not a planner then.
I'm such a pantser, it's pathetic.
Okay.
It's pathetic what a big pantser I am.
Okay.
And for you, those of you who aren't into writing books, you're usually either a planner or a pantser. A pantser means you're just going as it comes along. I'm probably the poster child for I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to give it a try anyway.
Okay.
This whole thing. That's kind of how I did 45 years of marketing advertising. So when I started this, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but let's try it.
Yeah. Oh, fun. Well, you're on the roll, so I think you figured it out.
It's only after I find out, I didn't do that right. Or, oh, I should, whoa, maybe I should have known that first. I'm kind of on that road.
Yeah. Yeah. So fun. So fun. So okay. So you have 4 books out now.
Yes.
The ones we mentioned. And are there any more? Can the readers be
Yes.
looking forward to more?
The next one is Being Nancy in a World Lost in Mystery. And this is
Mhm.
my ode to why I ever wanted to write a book, even though I didn't write it for, 50 years or whatever, what is to Nancy Drew.
Yes. Oh,
A love of
those
Nancy Drew.
were like every day. I mean, I just kept rereading them and going to the library and
Yes.
getting more Nancy Drew books. And I've read some Hardy Boys. I don't know. It's not the same. It's not
It's
the
not the
same as
same.
it's not the
No.
same as Nancy.
Right. Nancy's the one. So yeah, I'm trying to collect a lot of the old ones
Yes, when I go to
just to
antique
have.
stores, if I find them, I'm
Yes,
gonna snag them
absolutely.
up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have a lot of things that you might not know about Nancy Drew books in general incorporated into this next book, which I think will be
Oh, okay.
interesting for people because as I've done the research and delved in, there's so much as Nancy Drew readers we had no idea about.
Oh, very
Down to the
cool.
name of the author isn't a
Right.
person.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
all that kind of stuff. There's just so much. So that's kind of the aspect. And then, of course, there's always a mystery. And Piper Penn's Who You Meet in Being Ethel. And she just keeps meeting people. And then we go off on their rabbit hole, basically.
Mhm.
So Piper
Mhm.
Penn's always meeting someone. And she's always still in the book. And then we meet who she meets and we get to know them. And then there's a mystery and a little bit of romance and a little
Yeah.
bit of this, a little bit of that, or whatever the theme is, kind of thing.
So cool. Okay, so I mean, we jumped ahead to Nancy, but okay, so we have Ethel and Lucy. Then we have Dorothy, which is definitely longing for home. We know. So what inspired this for
I'm a
the?
huge, huge Wizard of Oz fan.
Yes,
I have a big I Love Lucy collection. I have a big Wizard of Oz collection.
I was
That's
in
one of my
Kansas,
two.
and because I went to see my grandpa, he was born in Kansas and lived there until the Dust Bowl. But
Oh,
there's a museum there, and
yeah.
we had to meet someone for dinner. And I'm like driving by, going, I want to stop at this
Oh,
museum.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to go to that. We actually have one. Green Bay is about an hour away into a northern Wisconsin one that has this nice little Wizard of Oz museum I've never been to yet, too, that
Oh,
I want to get to. But yeah,
fun.
I'm a huge, and I'm back from the day when you had to wait for it to come on TV once a year. And I'm even go so far back that we had to go to someone's house that had a color TV
Oh, yeah.
so that when she opened the door, you could actually see the color,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
was such a big deal. So Piper Penn is established on the island and she meets this couple because she's very chatty and forward and she meets this couple sitting on the porch of the Grand Hotel, but they aren't who they seem to be. They are
Mm.
estranged married spies.
Ooh, okay.
They're spies. So if you like knitting and you
Mhm.
like spies, stories, and you like cats and you like Mackinac Island, you'll like this book.
That is so fun. That is so fun. Okay. Okay, let's talk about Alice then. In a
Okay,
world
so
lost in the looking glass.
Alice is my ode to music and to the rock stars of the 70s, 60s, and 70s that I love. I'm a big Dan Fogelberg fan.
Mhm.
James Taylor, Carly Simon, that whole era of music. So Alice becomes very disfigured by an accident and
Mm.
she's growing up in a not good situation, but she's like this musical savant that can play any instrument. So she gets almost traded by her Uncle Rabbit to be go to the Grand Hotel when this big rock star is coming. to be, you know, run his band and all that kind of thing. So, and he has been the idol of her life. Like
Wow.
she wears an eye patch and like a little veil thing because she's very disfigured on one side of her
Mm.
face. So that's her story. And there's a mystery, and there's of course a love story in there, and more about Mackinac Island, very
What's
much.
happening there? And
Yeah,
yeah.
and I pick a flower for everyone, and I paint the postcards on the front of each one.
So you do the covers too?
Yeah, I work with an artist to lay out the covers, but I do the postcard on the
Okay, I'm
front.
gonna just hold this up and so hopefully they can get it. They're beautiful.
So that's Arch Rock, which is a very big place. If you ever go to Mackinac Island, you'll definitely go to Arch Rock. It looks down onto the water. It's gorgeous. And then the flower for this one is Forget Me Not. So in every
Mhm.
cover, you'll see there's clues to the story. Like there's the looking glass, there's the
Okay,
Mad
I
Hatter
wasn't
hat.
paying that good of attention. So
Yeah, so
yeah,
you'll see there's a paintbrush on Being Ethel. That's
yeah.
because
So I'm
Piper's
gonna
an
hold this.
artist.
Yeah.
And you'll see the lilacs. And lilacs are huge on Mackinac Island. They have a big lilac festival, and lilacs a big deal on Mackinac Island.
Okay, then here's
Then I'm
Dorothy.
Being Dorothy, this is the Grand Hotel. And then geraniums, and geraniums are all over the Grand Hotel. And then I introduce these two cats into the story. And then you see knitting up in the corner. And then Being Alice is the looking glass and the Forget Me Nots. And you see the Mad Hatter hat, and you see a guitar and music, because this is all
I
about a
wasn't paying
musician.
that close of attention. Let me just say. Well, plus I was listening on audiobook. Like I have the books, but I was listening on
Yeah,
audiobook. So
yeah. And Being Wendy is, now this is, Wendy is turning 50. It's her 50th uh, birthday, and she is a famous writer. So you see the ink pen up
oh
in the corner
yeah.
and the typewriter, and you see the Peter Pan hat down in the corner. And she kind of has a thing for this guy who drives this horse and carriage, and the Black Eyed Susans play into the story,
Oh,
which are all
so
island flowers. So that's on there too. So that's all part of it too. So yeah.
I just love how your mind is like, ooh, let's do this. Ooh, let's do this. Ooh, I like this. And then you tie it
That's
in
why I
like
said to Panther, I'm like, oh, what happened? I'm a very much, what would happen if we did this
yeah.
or did that? Or
Yeah. So, okay, so you're working on book 5 right now,
yes,
with Nancy. Like, are your thoughts already going ahead to like more, or are you just focusing on Nancy right now?
I'm gonna focus on Nancy. I think there's more. I want to do a Christmas version.
A Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that would
Have you been
be,
there during Mackinac Island during Christmas?
no, I've never been there in the winter. You know,
Well, you're
everything
gonna.
kind of shuts down, and there's
Okay.
not as much stuff open, and there's fewer hotels, and you know, I have to live through winter here in Green Bay, so it's not enchanting to me to go anywhere in winter.
That's
It isn't
true.
warm. It's not exciting, believe me.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
Yeah,
maybe she goes on vacation during
that's true.
Christmas.
That's true. But I have a great idea for that book too, for
Oh,
the
good.
Christmas one. But I'm sticking with the being and then the name and then the subtitle, so that they will all still follow that.
Yeah.
And then maybe a couple more, and then I might branch off into something totally different.
Okay. This is so fun. Okay, so there are so many people that say like someday I'll write a book and maybe I retire. I mean, what inspiration do you have for someone to just like, yes, you got to do it. You got to get started. You have to just go for it.
You do. And I like to say I didn't publish till I was over 60. So for someone thinking, oh, I can't, it's
Mhm.
like, hey, you know, I'm the maybe the grandma Moses when it comes to, she didn't start painting till she was, you know what, I just didn't have time with
Right.
working and everything. So you know what I love the most about it, absolutely love the most is, I don't care. I'm
Yeah.
retired. I
Yeah.
don't care. Rules, eh.
I love that.
You know what I mean? I'm not sitting here
Yeah.
going, "Oh, I want to write books so that I can quit my job so I can be a full-time writer." I have none of that pressure because I'm retired.
Mm, yeah.
So I am really doing this for pure fun, and I'm doing it with almost like keeping it fun. I don't follow a lot of rules.
Yeah.
And that has made it very much a joyful experience because
Mhm.
I mean, I did 45 years of rules.
Yeah.
This is how you do it. You know, I was in advertising, writing, and I mean corporate. I know it all.
Mhm.
But now I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's not the pressure to like put out like it takes me a year to write a book because I'm doing all this other crazy stuff, but it gets done when it gets done.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's not great for marketing, but
Well, that's I mean, it you're having fun with it. And I think, if
I
you were
am.
stressed out and I have to get a book out every year, every 6 months and do all this stuff and do all this marketing, then it wouldn't be fun anymore. And people always ask me, like, I was just talking to a friend, I haven't talked to her in a while, and we were catching up. She goes, "How many books are you writing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm doing children's, and I'm doing a middle grade mystery, I'm doing Amish, and I'm doing," and she's like, "Which do you like to do?" And I'm like, "I like being creative. I like making stuff up." And so you have to have fun, like, even though, there's the business side and
Yeah.
contracts or whatever, getting the covers. I mean, there's work parts too, but if you aren't having fun, I can't imagine doing this if I had to, like, "Oh, I don't wanna write." I mean, it's fun to sit up and make up stories and make up characters and do this. So even though I do have kids, I'm not retired at all. My youngest is 12. We're still gonna be
Yeah.
parenting for
Yeah.
a while. I mean, I think you have to just enjoy it and have fun. It has to be more than, "I just wanna see my name in print," or,
Yeah.
"I don't think it's ever gonna happen," or you're not gonna have fun doing that if you do it that way.
And I think it's like anything else. Once you kind of get into it and you see how the sausage is made,
Mhm.
well, you do this, then you do that, then you
Yeah.
do that, then you do that, and you just keep learning and learning and
Mhm.
learning and learning, and eventually, if you keep at it, it will happen.
Yeah. Yep, and you
It
have to
definitely
keep
will
at
happen.
it and
Yeah.
connect with people that will encourage you, because it does get discouraging in time. You may think, "Why did I do this?" And I wanna do
And you have
something
to,
else.
you have to get a little bit of thick skin because you're putting something that you put your life into, and then somebody will say, I don't like it,
Yeah.
or your Amazon reviews or you have to, that's part
Yeah.
of it.
I mean, but you have some great Amazon reviews, so but there's always, I mean, none of our books are gonna please everybody. There's always gonna
Right.
be, it just
Yeah.
doesn't work for them.
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
I wish sometimes reviewers would think about that, it's like, you just say it wasn't your cup of tea.
Right. Yeah.
Don't kill the writer or the dream or it was somebody's cup of tea,
Yeah. Yeah, and I just
you
have to
know?
get to the point where I just don't look. So, I mean,
I
and
don't
I would say most of my reviews are wonderful, but there's those ones
Yeah,
that they don't like
my
it. That's
my
okay.
best my favorite one was something about, "You know exactly what's gonna happen," and then in the review it said, "I didn't know what was gonna happen."
Yeah. You're like, "I don't know." Yeah. Yeah.
So it is comical.
Yeah, it is.
It gets to be part of it. But yeah, that's part of it too. You're like you put your stuff out there and people are gonna have opinions and
Yeah, that's right.
you just put one foot in front of the other, eat the elephant one bite at a time, and say all the cliches you know, and you will be a writer.
There you go. I love that. I love that. And throw in things you love. Throw in
Throw in
things you
things
love.
you love. Oh, I couldn't do it if I wasn't throwing in things I loved.
Yeah.
I couldn't have a publishing company say to me, this is really hot right now, write this.
Mhm.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be hard.
Yeah, that would, yeah. Okay, so I always love to ask too, what are some Christian fiction books that you've enjoyed? Doesn't have to be in the recent time, just some that you've loved.
Here's the big thing. I'm not a big Christian fiction reader.
Okay.
I am very much a nonfiction reader, which
Okay.
is weird that I even became a Christian
Mhm.
fiction reader. I
Mhm.
mean, but I do love of many of the people that I've met
Yes.
through this.
Yeah.
Many uh Casey Hart and Anne Perrault and Jennifer Niffer and some of these that they're like me. They're brand
Yeah.
new and they have whatever else. So, but I really read a lot more
Nonfiction.
nonfiction than I read fiction. I'm
Yeah.
just not a big
The
I
avid
know that's
people
taboo.
are there, they're going, "No, I don't wanna hear
I don't wanna hear it.
that."
You know why? Part of it is because I'm so busy, and part of it's
Mhm.
usually a book to, enrich my Christian walk.
That's good.
So I'm like I love Unoffendable. I don't know if you've
Mhm.
read that book or not, but
No,
like
I
stuff
haven't.
like that.
Yeah.
So I'm I'm getting my devotion, Bible study, learning at the same time. But I definitely want to read more Christian fiction and I will read more, but it is not my bent. It's not what I gravitate toward.
Okay, so because she said she wants to, you guys can leave a comment on
Yeah.
here for books you might, because you've heard her talk, you've seen the interview, so you're like, "Ooh, I think she'll like this." Leave them
Yeah.
in the comments, and Michelle will Michelle will look at this. Well,
I like Agatha Christie mysteries, and
oh
I
yeah,
like a mystery and I like to not be able to solve it. I try to make mine so you can't solve it. I
yeah,
try really hard to do that,
yeah,
which I think is the hardest part of writing the book,
yeah.
actually.
It is.
If I didn't have a mystery in there, I could write a lot faster.
Yeah, I know
But
because you have to figure out like how you're gonna plant information with everyone realizing that there is information, and then
yeah,
you have to take them down trails that aren't the way they're supposed to go. Yeah, it,
yes, yes, the red herrings, and you have to make
mhm.
it, but you can't make it so far fetched they go, come on.
You're right. Yeah.
But you have to make it enough that they go, oh, they have to
Yep.
like the idea that they were led down and fooled a little bit.
Yeah.
So to me, that's the real trick
Mhm.
of it, is to write them. That's what takes the most for me, is how am I going to do this
Well,
mystery? And I
because it takes a
also don't
little
like to repeat.
planning.
Right. And
Planning.
I don't like to repeat myself.
Yeah.
So every book I try to be quite different than, other than some of the characters are the same. I try to
Yeah.
keep it quite different. And I will say, in being Wendy, the very, very ending blew myself away.
Oh, okay. That's pretty fun.
I was like, I feel like I've come farther as a mystery writer on this one.
That's cool. I love that. I love that.
I
Oh,
hope I'm getting a little better every book,
oh,
actually.
so fun. All right. So, Michelle, where can people go to find more information about these books and about you and to keep up with you?
LakeGirlPublishing.com.
Okay.
And that's where I have a page on there for my artwork. I have a page on there for my voice work. You can hear a bunch of the voice things that I've done if that's
Yeah.
interesting to you. My books are on there. It's my doodles. It's not a fancy website. It's a lot of all the little icons are my doodles. And my ebooks are on Amazon,
Okay.
and they're all 99 cents this week, actually.
That is awesome because this is
So
perfect
that's good.
timing.
Yeah.
One of the
Yeah.
comments says, I just bought these on Kindle this morning. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, so they're 99 cents, through Saturday, and, so I'm free on Kindle Unlimited, and my paperbacks are everywhere, and
I love
if you go
that.
to Mackinac Island and you go to their bookstore, there you'll find my books.
Oh,
So
fun.
I go
So
every year
cool.
to Mackinac Island and sign books at the bookstore, which was a dream, 20, 30
Oh,
years
yeah.
ago.
You're like,
Looking at those
someday.
books, I never knew I was gonna write books for Mackinac Island. I just would always
Oh,
wanna take a book home and feel like I was taking some of the island home with me.
yes.
So
That's
it really is a
awesome.
dream come true, for
I
sure.
love it. I love that you're doing this and you're just having so much fun. And I
I
think
am.
that's so inspiring and encouraging. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, and you are an inspiration, and thank you for
Well,
having this
thanks.
forum, and your website is phenomenal, and it's such a positive, happy place for people to find out more about great Christian fiction and the people who write, and I think it's all wonderful, and thank you, because I know you have a lot on your plate, and yet you continue to do this, so thank you
Well,
so much.
yeah. Well, I love books. I love people. So this is fun for me too. So thank you.
Wonderful.